Hey everyone, welcome back to Apollo Art Analysis. This episode, we're going to be studying a piece by the career digital illustrator known as Wiresandtrees, and in this episode, we're going to be talking about the influences of fantasy. We're also going to explore the symbolism of the blades, so let's jump right into it. So whenever you first see this work, of course, we're struck instantly by the incredible vibrance of the scene before us here. Our first impression is like one of awe or curiosity due to this mystical masterpiece. What you may notice in your initial impression is going to be the impact of color. We see this quite clearly, right? Despite a diverse range of tones, all of which, of course, give us this visual energy, we see the main colors of blue and red. Primarily, of course, that red ring, but also a bit of the base as well. Blue and red, by definition, are complementary colors, so they're really contrasting each other and fighting for the viewer's attention. There's no doubt about that. What you may also notice is the impact of texture. The layering on this work is absolutely insane. It's incredibly intricate, and that cannot be forgotten. We see this everywhere, from these incredible wings all the way to kind of the lightly dusted cosmic backing, all of which, of course, immerse us within the scene quite masterfully. You know, our setting here is quite interesting. It's hard to say exactly where we are. We see that it seems foreign, but cosmic in nature as well. We also see this sense of flow, right? This almost zero gravity effect that we see primarily on our subject's hair, but we also see that in the wings as well. Very delicate and flowing in that composition. Like we said, this also gives us a sense of visual energy next to this vibrance as well, so you're not going to miss it here. And with this in mind, you know, where do you think we are? Pretty interesting question you may ask. So we see two subjects here, right? It's quite interesting. We see this kind of ghoulish subject that appears to almost be evil in a way, right next to a much more benevolent peer. What's so interesting, we look at the ghoulish subject, we see this fatal red ring that just goes across our subject's form. Of course, there is this point of intersection as well, which cannot be forgotten. Red already is an incredibly vibrant and very striking color, but the intensity of light within this work makes it even greater, so an incredible impact from that. And next to this subject, we see kind of a benevolent peer, right? We see this not only a nimbus or a halo, but she's also possessed by this brilliant golden light. So it kind of points to maybe the benevolence or the innocence of our subject here. So we see this ghoulish subject, and even if you look at the face there, very terrifying, very kind of striking and unsettling, but he's holding a sword of light. We see our subject, she appears to stare at this sword with a bit of curiosity, you know, wondering what that may do or what it is. And of course, we see that nimbus. Of course, it is possessed by the light of our subject as well, so it kind of holds her spirit. It's quite interesting there. And swords are very interesting, right? When you think of a sword or a blade more broadly, you're typically going to think of it as a weapon, but blades, of course, are also used to cut away. They are tools after all. So we look at a blade such as this, not only can it transform via the blade which cuts away, but it also is a sword of light. So typically, you know, one of the most popular symbols is going to be a burning sword. So, of course, fire is also a symbol of transformation, but we see a sword of light here. Not only is it going to cut away, but it may also possess the figure with the spirit of that light as well. After all, golden light is always mimicked after our sun, and that really gives a divine quality to the piece at hand here. Of course, blades are incredibly important, right? Like I said, we typically think of them as weapons, which is very important whether they're wielded to fight evil or to fight innocence, as it is very important in the context in which swords are used. So we see this subject here appears to be handing this off to this much more benevolent peer there. And we look at those wings, it's absolutely stunning. There is no doubt that there is a fantasy element to the work at hand, but like we said, almost a zero gravity effect that reminds of, say, science fiction. Our setting as well, it almost seems like it's in space. We see these countless stars that remind of that cosmic quality, right? But regardless of that, we see this incredible sense of symbolism within the work at hand. Of course, the blade, the ghoulish subject, even this fatal red ring that almost reminds of evil in a way, although it's hard to say for sure. But regardless of that, there is no doubt that it's an unforgettable piece. It's going to always leave a lasting impression on all who stand before it. So the impact of this work, of course, it is a digital illustration. So you see painstakingly painted within that as well. So many layers to the work at hand, like we said, also gives a textural quality to this piece as well. When I first saw this work, it reminds me of kind of charcoal or pastel in a way. Of course, we see all those layerings like we talked about, incredible sense of dynamism, incredible intricacy as well. So actually I have another piece here. We're going to bring this in so we can learn and teach about this artist's style a bit more. All right, so I brought another work in here. It's quite interesting. I believe this is called Death in the Maiden, if I'm not mistaken. But we see the same face on this subject here, as we see here as well. This almost denotes a sense of evil, or like we said, a sense of death as well. But there's no doubt there is a sense of vibrancy in both of these works. The original artist actually draws a lot of inspiration from anime and the likes of Miyazaki. So many different things that the artist draws from. We see this sense of fantasy surrealism, absolutely stunning. It immerses us within that. An incredible textural quality to the work at hand as well. Of course, digital illustration is going to be the perfect medium to really add that. Like we said, in this work here, this incredible sense of layering and dynamism, and then we compare that to this work here. Of course, the impact of color, but also that sense of texture, which cannot be forgotten. Almost a neo-expressionist quality, if you will, as well, but of course mixed in the fantasy genre. So absolutely stunning. We always love to look at those insights and see, the artist's style a bit deeper. So yeah, I really hope y'all enjoyed today. Of course, like I said, a stunning and unforgettable piece, an incredible sense of layering, dynamism, of course, incredible sense of symbolism as well. It's not going to be forgotten. Really hope y'all enjoyed today. If y'all did, go check out the original artist, Wires and Trees, doing some amazing stuff, not only in the genre of fantasy, but also in the greater world of digital illustration as a whole. There is no doubt that this subject or this artist pays close attention to the work that they create and the work that they output. So, like I said, really hope y'all enjoyed today. If y'all did, go check out the original artist. My name is Apollo. This was Apollo Art Analysis, and I'll see y'all on the next episode. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you'd like to support our work directly, please check out our Apollo community tokens. Apollo Art Exchange is an ecosystem of art appreciation which elevates artists each and every day. Thanks for listening.